Welcome back to the Andrew Undem podcast. Today I'm with Omer Reshid, the young stallion from DC, came up to spend some time with us in Baltimore. Thanks so much for coming up, brother.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been a fun hour of so much going on here, and excited to be here.
Yeah, we already went through a bunch of stuff, and I learned a lot about your background, your history, and trying to give you some value too.
A lot of value.
But tell everyone a little bit about yourself, how you got into real estate, so we can get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah. Long story short, I'm originally from Ethiopia. I actually only moved here 8 years ago, so I'm like fresh off the boat, really. Moved here from Ethiopia with my dad to Baltimore County. It was in my books. Came from a third world country. Everything's completely different. We got iPads in school and shit. I'm like, holy shit. So if you're an immigrant, there's three options: either a doctor, a lawyer, engineer. There's no in between, right? So I was on the path of I want to go be a doctor, change my parents' life, blah blah blah, the whole immigrant dream or lifestyle. So I was in my books, very shy guy, had an accent, barely spoke up. It wasn't until like my junior year of high school where I joined a soccer team, kind of opened up a little bit more. My senior year of high school, my principal and my avid teacher, Miss Lab, kind of convinced me to run for this position on the Baltimore County Board of Education, where essentially I would be representing all 115,000 students of all Baltimore County public schools. I looked at them and I laughed in their face. It's like, haha, very funny, it's not happening. Somehow they forced me to do it, passed first round of interviews, second, third, and then by the time we got to the end, it was just me and one other candidate, and we had to do a whole campaign, present to a bunch of kids. That's when I was like, okay, let me take this shit seriously. Ended up winning. Was on the Baltimore County for a year. That was a great time. We did a lot of good work. And I went to GW on a full scholarship to study biology and be a doctor. And then this is where the twist happens. Freshman year of college, I'm sitting there in like my biochem class or something, and I'm watching TikTok. And I see this guy breaking down how much he made on a real estate deal. It was like $20,000, something like that. Right. I'm like, whatever, bullshit, scammer. And just kept scrolling. Because you know how it is now.
Oh,
online.
yeah.
Everyone's making $1 million.
Especially when you're from Ethiopia and you're like $20,000 US.
In one deal. He was like, in 30 days. It's like, bullshit.
Right.
But something in me stuck in my head about just like real estate. So I had no idea what it meant. Residential real estate, commercial, broker, like nothing. So I just searched up real estate near me. I'm at GW on campus, downtown DC, and the first result is the One Street Company. And they are like one of the biggest teams in Washington, D.C. I found out who the founder and CEO was, Omer Reshid, and I sent him a cold email. I was like, hey, my name's Omar. I'm a freshman at GW. I'm studying biology. I know nothing about real estate, but I would love the chance to come work for you for free. I'll do your social media. I'll grab you coffee, whatever it takes. I just want to be around you and learn about real estate. Surprisingly enough, this guy, multimillionaire, one of the biggest teams in DC, responds back to me an hour later. He goes, Omar, no one's emailed me like this before. Come on down. Let's talk. Crazy. Show up the next day, 9 a.m., go to the assistant front desk, huge office in DC. I'm like, I'm here to see Samra. She's like, are you sure you're here to see Samra? I'm the CEO of the company. Right. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I had to show her the email to prove it to her. And she's like, okay, yeah, just wait. I'm not sure what time he'll be in. I didn't understand realtor time back then, so 9 a.m. meant 11 a.m. Right. So he shows up, finally introduced
You just
myself.
waited there for 2 hours?
I just waited. She's like, are you sure you want to wait? I was like, yeah, I'll wait. I'm like, I'm already here, right? So, I finally introduced myself, and he's like, damn, I didn't actually think you were going to come. I have nothing planned for you, but feel free to hang out with me all day. So to him, he was kind of disappointed, but for me, I'm like, that's a huge win. Like, I'm spending all day with this multi-millionaire. So that day was the day that changed my life. I just watched Samra work. Like, he was getting a million phone calls.
How old are you right there?
I am turning 19, so I'm 18, about to turn 19.
Yeah, 19.
Yeah, so freshman year of college, and I'm just watching this guy work. Like, he's getting a million phone calls, a million emails, responding back to every single person. We went to showings. He had a couple development sites he was working on. And, I was just like, I don't know what this guy is doing. And also, it was my first time in a G-Wagon. I was like, whatever this guy's doing, he seems like he's having fun. He's helping people, and he's clearly making a lot of money. This is what I want to do. Didn't fully grasp it, real estate, broke. I didn't know what he was really about. I was like, whatever this guy is doing, this is what I want to do. And by the end of the day, he was like, Omar, I can't believe you actually showed up. You have great energy. I loved it. Feel free to come by any day. I took it literally. I showed up every day for the next 9 months straight, moved all my classes to night classes. I was doing his social media. We grew his TikTok and Instagram following. TikTok's like 50,000 followers, Instagram company page. And then I started making my own content as in like day in life as an intern working for the #1 real estate team. So that's kind of where my social side started. And 9 months later, he was like, Omar, you need to get your real estate license. 2 weeks later, I got my Maryland license. The day I got my license, I walk into Sammer's office. I'm like, hey, I got my license. Thinking this guy's going to be super stoked, excited for me. He's like, okay. He's like, check your phone. And he sent me a lead. He was like, go show them this house. I'm like, Sam, what are you talking about? I have no idea what to do. He's like, you'll be fine. Call me if you need anything. Just go. It was a house all the way out in Waldorf, Maryland. It was like an hour and a half away. No one wanted in the chat.
Right.
And I showed them the house. Super, super nice couple, young couple. My first clients ever. I'll never forget them. And they look at me like, Omar, we want the house. And I'm just like, shit.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do next? And I had no clue. So the one thing Sammer did teach me was like, just learn how to buy time, right? He's like, never misspeak. I was like, okay. I was like, hey, no worries at all. Me and my partner will give you a call. We'll walk you through the next steps. I'll call you in like an hour. Rush over to the office. I'm freaking out. Sammer calms me down. Long story short, he does a whole deal. You know,
Right,
calls the listing agent, blah, blah, blah. I'm just watching. 14 days later, it was crazy COVID market. I had my first closing for $5,000. I've never seen my clients that happy before. The energy in that room was like nothing I've ever felt in my entire life. And I was like, holy shit, this is it. This is the
So you made $5,000.
I've never seen that much money for my entire life. Like it was insane.
That's awesome.
You know, so that was the day. And then from there was a domino effect. I think this was like May. From May to like December, I did about like 4 to 5 million in volume, strictly all like Sammer leads, Zillow leads. And then first full year, I did about 13 million. Second year, I did about 17. This year, we're almost hit 20 or like 19-ish for 2024. And
So how old are you now?
now I'm 22.
22. And how old were you when you came to the country?
16.
It's unbelievable. So obviously, likable guy, humble guy, really took off. So he's one of the most followed people in DC in real estate. I don't know if you know.
He's hyping me up.
Well, no, when I was telling you the story, a couple of guys on my team said, hey, did you talk to Omer Reshid? I was like, yeah, I talked to him last week. He's coming in today.
Yeah.
We had our meeting today on Tuesday. They're like, he's coming here? I was like, yeah, dude, he's normal. Yeah, we're going to shoot a podcast.
Yeah.
And there was like a big deal.
Yeah.
Then I go deeper into your social. This guy's interviewing all the biggest people. He's created a marketing company that tons of the top teams use. Yeah. He's, selling $20 million of real estate as a 22-year-old. This is like you're living the dream.
Appreciate it, man.
And I just think it's so fascinating to me because you're so young. I'm like the old guy now. I started when I was like...
He's young, but okay.
When I was like your age, 37 now,
Yeah.
but like the head start you have that was all earned through straight up hustle. I just can't wait to see where you're going to go.
That means a lot, man. And I mean, I already know I'm gonna like go crazy with the shit that you've already given me. And I can't wait for us to talk about it on here, but I'm excited, man. It's going to be, I think 2025 is going to be a really good year.
Yeah. Well, you obviously have all the components that are the intangibles, which is very hungry, eager to learn, willing to work, which sets you apart from most people. And if you're listening to this and watching this, the power of what he just said was, I'll go work for you for free, and you actually show up. And that's the old cliche, like 90% of life showing up.
Just showing up.
Just like you showed up here today, so why don't you come to my office? Boom, I'll be there, done.
Yep.
And now we're trading all these ideas. So I'd encourage you, if you ever see anybody doing anything you want to do or be like or emulate,
100%.
They'll help you.
Yes.
Every person I've ever asked for help has been willing to help me. I've been asking you for help. How do you do all this stuff on social? Like, show me your system. It's intense.
Same thing here. I'm like, yo, how do you do your listing presentations? How do you have so much volume? And he opened his entire back book. But again, like you said, everyone's wanting to help. It's like, just ask, just show up, just be there. The friction for us to get this meeting was two texts.
Yeah, shout out to Jimmy Burgess, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Shout out, Jimmy. You're the man, bro. This is my new bestie.
If you don't follow Jimmy Burgess on YouTube, you should. This guy is a great, he's a great resource, and he is the source of a lot of great information, and he's a good friend. He connected me. It was last week. He goes, you got to meet this guy. He's right down the road from you. He said, you're OKP.
What does that mean?
Our kind of people.
Oh, I love that.
And he doesn't say that to everybody, about everybody.
Yeah.
But when Jimmy Burgess makes a recommendation, I said, well, Jimmy's the man.
Yeah.
And I know he wants what's best for me.
Yeah.
And it's nice when you have people in your life, like the Jimmys and like the I'm sure you have a bunch. And you're like, when someone tells you something, they just want it because they know it's right for you.
They get nothing out of it. They're just like, hey, I think this would be a great connect or whatever it is.
So, what's so funny when you're saying that was the day that turned your life around, or not around, but you just were committed to a new path.
Yeah.
I've had so many of those moments, and you're going to keep having them.
Yeah.
Because things change. But I'll never forget, I started in new home sales.
Yeah.
So I was working at a model home. People come in, they have to buy
like new construction, whatever.
I was working for Ryan Homes.
Yeah.
awesome training ground. New home sales is one of the best, most untapped kind of pillars of business that I don't think a lot of general brokerage people tap into at a high level, because they teach you everything about the product we sell,
homes
that the consumer already wants, by the way. So there's no friction there. We create our own friction, which we were talking about.
Yeah, we literally just touched.
People don't even know how they're built. Isn't that crazy? You don't know.
A lot of agents don't know what an HVAC is.
No.
Like how it works.
Or the critical path of construction and all that stuff. So I learned that, but a guy came into my model home.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you this on the Zoom. Guy comes in the model home, pulls up in a Lexus, the biggest one, full suit. I just immediately was like, this guy's the man.
Yeah.
I'm 22.
Yep.
So I'm like, damn, this guy comes in, and what he did is he made me feel important. Okay, so I'm already like, oh, this guy's just his essence and presence. I'm like, this guy's the man.
Yeah.
Hey, nice to meet you. How long you been working here? Hey, I can tell you're doing a great job. He's stroking me.
Just
how many of you sold? Okay. Hey, he goes, my name's Bob Lucido. And he was just an awesome guy. And he's asking me questions, personal questions, giving me some tips. He knew all about new home sales. And I just remember when he left, he was like, hey, look, if you ever have someone that comes in with a home to sell, I'll call him right away. And he came back once a month.
Yeah. Just checking.
And he would and I started referring him business, and I just learned a lot from him. Not that he was trying to teach me, but I was like, that's the guy I want to be like.
That was your Sammer.
That was my Sammer. And what I didn't know at the time was that guy owned a company called Builder's First Choice.
Okay.
I did a podcast with this guy. I think he's the #1 agent in the world at Keller Williams currently.
Yeah.
He had this giant company, hundreds of employees. All he did was represent builders. Before the market tanked, he gets out, like freaking Nostradamus.
Yeah.
Comes back as a real estate agent. Within a year, I believe this is correct, within 1 year, he's the #1 RE/MAX agent on the planet.
That's insane.
And you know what he did? He was going into new home sales models. He was talking to people. He was taking action. He was showing up. So you have those people, and I have so many of them, like I was telling you with the Sharons, Mark Stark. And look, you're one of them for me too. Like you want to find these people who have different perspectives than 100%. You and who are doing things at a high level. So it's obvious when Jimmy connects me, I look at your stuff. This guy's 20 what? Doing 20 million by himself. And he's got a media company. We didn't even talk about that. This guy's got employees. He's running multiple businesses. I'm like, this guy can teach me a lot if I have my antenna up. Let me see if he'll come teach me. And maybe I can give him some of the stuff that's helped me along the way. And here we are.
Yep. And that's the thing. It's like, in my opinion, it's just like that value exchange is just like invaluable. Like I been here for an hour and I feel like I've gotten like so like 4 years college degree worth of like knowledge. You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh shit, this is it. This is how I get my listings. This is how I do my buyer talk. This is what I'm missing out on. This is how you do so it's like finding the right people, but then also just like reducing that friction of like how quick you can get to that appointment. It's like if we just did that phone call and we ended at that, I don't think it would have been the same. Right? It's like people I feel like now are all about like that whole online or texting or this. It's like it's never the same. Like hop on that Zoom at the worst case. Come meet them in person. Show up. Like Tuesday can't work. How about Monday afternoon? Like people try to drag things out. One thing I realized, and Sammer told me this, he was like, the most successful people he knows, like the conversations are much quicker, easier, response times are a lot better. And then it's guys that aren't really at that level where it's like they take 3 days to respond back to you and it's forever to link up. And it's like, let's do it next month. And then it's like,
you take action now. Like how easy was this? I say, hey, let's hop on a Zoom. You go, okay, when do you want to do it? This day. Boom. We talk for an hour. I say, you need to come to my office. Boom. Now we're here. We'll go to dinner tonight. It's going to be great. But mark my words. Timestamp this. What day is it? January something. 21st. There'll be money made between the two of us, whether I refer someone to DC, he knows someone coming up to Baltimore, because when you get in proximity, proximity's power, and when you know, like, and trust somebody, they're 100%. So much easier to refer. 100%. And the speed kills. Speed kills.
Speed is everything. Speed is everything. And like, I mean, I can guarantee 12 months from now there's going to be something happening.
It might happen today. Like we were just talking with, Riley in here, Brandon's behind the camera. We know a lot of the same people. So let me ask you some detailed questions on social media, because the people, when I was telling the team, Omar's coming, which is funny, The Wire. That should be a real, hey, Omar's coming.
That's
Omar's coming.
That's the tagline.
That's a good one. I think the reason most people are infatuated with your rise, young guy doing a lot. I mean, I didn't even get into general brokerage till 23, 24, and you're doing 20 million kind of by yourself, but you've had great mentors. But people are kind of just see your social media following and say, wow, how's this guy doing it? Because social media is tough. because A, you have to have something to say.
Yep.
And then you have to have the ability to capture it.
Yes.
Then you have to have the ability to edit it.
Yep.
Then you have to have the ability to distribute it intelligently across multiple platforms.
Yeah.
And then what happens after you distribute it, you have a way to collect content and engage with people, because all conversion happens in conversation.
100%.
You've just kind of mastered that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. What is your take on social media? Because a lot of agents don't want to do it.
Yeah.
They don't like doing this.
Yep.
We all don't like the way we sound
100%.
just right.
Yep.
How did you kind of overcome that? Or was it the immigrant thing, like, I have to?
So for me, it was, Andrew, like when I tell you I was the opposite of the guy you see today, like super shy, like barely spoke, like unless you spoke to me, I would not speak to you. Like in class, like I would have to be called on, like directly, Omar, I need you to answer this question, raise your hand for me to speak, right? So I think everyone has, two biggest fears in the world is like what, public speaking and like being on camera, right? So it's like, yeah, it's super scary, but it's like, the first time you do anything is super scary. I'm sure the first listing presentation you went on, you weren't as good as you are right now, right? The first buyer, the first everything. So in my opinion, and this isn't just for realtors, but any business, if you make content about what you do, you will be 70% better than anybody else in that industry. It's not saying like you have to do content to, be really good at it or get more business, but
it's optional.
If you do content, you will be 70% better, in my opinion. I heard this from Alex Ramosi. I was like, this is freaking true. So I think the biggest hurdle is we care too much about what people think of us. And it's the most random people too. I was telling Jimmy this. It's like, you're probably thinking like, when I first started, I'm like, oh, what's that one agent in my office going to think of me? What's that one cousin that I've never spoken to or will never speak to thinking? Like, we're analyzing all these different scenarios where it's like the people that like you, know you, trust you are going to enjoy your content and be proud of it and be happy with it and support it. The people that don't, like, they're not buying a house from you anyway. They're not selling a house with you anyway.
If you realized how little people, the amount of time people spend thinking about you is so little, if at all.
Yep.
So you get it out of your head. And I know people are afraid to be judged, their friends, their sphere, their family, especially when you change and you grow.
100%.
Because you're a different man now than you were probably even 2 years ago. You're embarking on all these journeys. You change and you disrupt the status quo. Omar doesn't hang out with us anymore. Omar's thinks he's a big shot. When you're going to real estate offices, talking on camera, like, oh. Yeah. And one of my favorite quotes, this is clippable, is from Jay-Z. He's a rapper. Do you know Jay-Z?
I know Jay-Z.
You're from Ethiopia, I don't know. Yeah. He goes, people look at you strange. They say you've changed. You think I worked this hard to stay the same? So like I've literally... because you do hear that. Your buddies will be like, dude, you don't even come out anymore. You're not drinking with us. I haven't seen you at the bar, dude.
I get that all
the time. You know what I
say?
I haven't seen you at the bank.
I haven't seen you at the dealership. I haven't seen you at so many spots. Yeah.
That's just a funny line.
Yeah.
I would never say that, but it sounds good on camera.
Yeah. No, it's all about the clickbaity.
Well, it's like you just don't care.
100%.
Because as a human being, you decide to go in a direction, and the only person that can stop you is you.
You are your biggest barrier. Like I tell everyone, your mindset is it. Literally 101 of what Samer taught me when I first started was like, he was like, because I had the biggest fear in my head of like, who the hell is going to buy a house for me? I'm 19 years old. I have an afro. I barely fit in my suits. I barely know what I'm doing at the time. But Samer literally looked at me. He's like, Omar, no one cares what you look like, what you sound like, where you're from. If you're a professional, you know what you're doing, and you actually care about your clients, you will be successful. And like, it took me a while to realize it. And it took me, I'd say, a couple transactions. I was like, he's right. Right? It's like when I first show up, they're like, damn, who's this young kid? Like, with the afro, barely fits into suits. But then when I start speaking, it's a different scenario. I'm like, hey, like the HOA in this neighborhood is too high. You're not getting anything out of it. Let's move on to the next one. It's like, oh, why do you say that? Like, let's talk more. And like, they just start to see that you know your stuff and that you actually care about them. And that's the most important thing too, right? I tell everyone this, like when I'm first meeting a client, obviously you know this better than anybody else. It's like, I could care less if they buy the house or not.
Of course.
Like you said, like, we're not selling shoes or like they already want the product. There's a ton of it. We're just selling them the service of like why we're the best people to get them from point A to point Z. So when they're like, holy shit, this guy is not a sleazy car salesman like most people think we are, they're like, I want to work with this guy. He's educating me and he can protect me and they feel safe. So it's like, if you can get those two, I think it's a game changer.
Yeah. And we were just talking about it earlier offline, which is that definition, which I heard today.
Yeah.
Today I heard this line, but it's so potent,
yeah.
which is sales is getting somebody intellectually engaged on a future result that's good for them and helping them emotionally connect to it and take action to get that result. That's all you're actually doing, but you can't do it unless you're in rapport first, which is a lot of what you said.
100%.
Hey, do you show up? Do they actually like you? Do you like them? You don't have to be a fit for everybody. No. If someone's a prick, it's all good. Yep. It's not about you.
No.
You can move on.
And that's the thing. It's like, I tell everyone this, and obviously it's biased because it changed my life, but I think real estate sales is one of the best industries to get into because like literally everybody's a potential client.
Right.
Everyone you meet at some point in their, like if they need to either rent something, buy something, sell something, right? So why not be with you, right? Number two, I think like, which honestly I think needs to be raised, but the standard to entry is very low, right?
Yeah,
so
low
it's
barrier.
like low barrier to entry. It's like, I mean, I would have technically, let's say I went that med school route, right? I would still be in school right now, my senior year in college. I would then still have another 4 years. I would have to be 250,000. And again, if it's passion, it's what you want to do, absolutely do it. We need doctors in the world. But
love doctors.
We love doctors, but it's like, again, I'd be 32, 35 before I even get to that goal of what I wanted to do for my parents and the life that I wanted them to have. So, yeah, I'm
well, you're lucky.
biased.
You're lucky that you found a passion because there's nothing more powerful than a made-up mind. But you got to commit. Only you can commit. It doesn't matter what everyone tells you to do. You have to want to do it because this business is, like you said, easy to get into, but even easier to fail.
Yep.
Even easier to throw in the white towel.
Yep.
No one takes you seriously for a long time.
Nope.
You're on a supercharged ramp,
Yep.
but there's going to be a time, maybe it happens this year, next year, 2 years, you're going to say, you know what? I don't need this stuff. Because it's so much. Because what we do as agents, especially if you're good and you care and you're trying to get them what they want, is you inherit all these people's stress.
Yep.
Moving is one of the most stressful things. You're dealing with death, divorce, 100%. Estates, big money. Typically the biggest transaction in most people's lives, and it's all on you.
If something goes wrong, it's always on you.
And if you have 50 deals going, which you're going to get to a point where you say, oh my God. And you probably already have had lots, but it's like it can wear on you. So you have to have you have to have mental clarity on what your job is. Yeah. And I feel like no one talks about that.
Like in your opinion, like what is your job? Like what, because again, we're therapists, we're this, we're that, but like what is our job as real estate agents?
Well, it's so many different things. It's a good question because there's easy to give a flippant answer.
Yeah.
Our job is to get people what they want. I've said that a million times. But it depends where you are in the transaction, and it depends on what this client situation is. If it's, for example, if it's a buyer, your job, first conversation, which we were just going over, is to give them the overview so they can understand that you can be their Sherpa through the process. Yeah. Then when you're looking at homes, different job. You're kind of a tour guide. You're having fun. You're educating them, market dynamics. Here's your financing options. Okay, now we're making an offer. Now you're a strategic advisor and a negotiator. Now you're under contract. Now, once you're under contract, you have to effectively manage the entire real estate ecosystem. Most agents don't think this is their job, by the way, which is, you know how many people are involved in this transaction? Buyer, buyer's agent, seller, seller's agent, mortgage loan officer, their processor, their underwriter, the appraiser, home inspector, depends on how many inspections we're getting. Title attorney, closing, the contractors that get involved, termite inspection, you always do those. Your job, if you have your head screwed on right, is to make sure in every piece of this transaction, you're working to get your client a benefit, or at the very least, making sure they're protected. So on your side of the settlement statement,
everything looks good.
You're responsible for everything. So obviously your job changes. Now, now they're what the industry calls, they buy the house, they're happy with you. Maybe you get a 5-star review if you did your job right. You have some artifacts of success. Now your job is to treat them like a client, not a past client.
A client.
They're a client. Do you hear doctors and lawyers say, hey, there's my past clients?
No, that's my client.
That's my client. If you are telling people that I have past clients, you know what that makes you? They're past agent.
Past realtor.
So now your job is to deepen a relationship, continue to provide value. And a lot of agents, one of their jobs is to be able to actually articulate the value they bring to that relationship before, during, and after a sale. And because they're not taught that, and they get overwhelmed, and you're always looking for the next deal, because by the way, there's no salaries here. There's no health insurance. There's no retirement plan.
Nada.
There's no ceiling to the income.
But you can also make $0 next month.
Well, you can go, there's no floor.
There's no floor.
So like, what's the job of a real estate agent? It's so many different things, and it's so dependent on the other person. Which is why, I went over all my presentation stuff. and I have these beautiful things well thought out. Yeah. This is how it goes in a vacuum.
Yep.
But you have to understand how it goes in a vacuum. Yeah. It never goes like that in person.
Yep.
Which is why I believe you should never present anybody anything until you know what they want to be, what they want to get out of a situation.
Yep. I asked you earlier, this exact question. I was like, so how do you start up the conversation, or how do you, build that rapport? It's like, depends on what they want. It's like, don't talk to them about the whole contingency process if that's not what they care about. Don't talk to them about this if it's not. Like,
you don't answer unasked questions. People get in a mistake, especially the young, eager agents, and you've already advanced past this, but you get in, and you learn something, you say, oh, let me show you all this stuff. No. And you're losing people because you don't answer unasked questions and you don't present until you understand what they are trying to accomplish. How do you do that? That's why I said the closing thing.
Not the
Everyone wants to be a hardcore closer. I'm a closer, dude. Dude, I close. I'm a shark. I'm a beast. That's what people think it's about. And you see the videos about it. The best salespeople, closing happens naturally and automatically. You don't want to be a good closer. You want to be a good opener.
Because then the close happens naturally.
If you open the conversation about them, so I'd say, Omar, if you were a buyer, I'd say, hey, Omar, what types of things would you like to go over in order to make the best use of your time?
Bam.
Write that down. If it's a seller, you come to their house, you do a little of this, little of that. Hey, what types of things would you like to go over in order to make the best use of your time? What you're doing there. Even though, first of all, anytime I buy anything, I wish someone would just ask me that and I'll tell you. I'll tell you how to close me. These people, sellers want to sell, buyers want to buy. We're the problem, guys.
We are the problem.
You're the problem.
Yeah.
You ask that. All you're trying to do is get their agenda. Once I know their agenda, and of course you can embed some things into their agenda, you can plant some seeds, then you share your agenda. Hey, a lot of times, Omar, people want to know the 7 components of value we bring to the relationship to make sure we're maximizing your equity when going into a real property purchase. We can cover that or not. It's like pre-approvals. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, guess what? Now that was their idea. I have permission to talk about what I want to talk about.
Yep.
This is the opening. This all happens in the first 2 minutes. How much time do you have today? Always set the time, and you always set the outcome.
Yep.
This is closing in the opening. You say, hey, by the end of today's meeting, 1 of 2 things are going to happen. For whatever reason, it might not be a fit. You might not be ready. That's all good. Oh, no pressure.
Yep.
At any point in time, please stop.
Shoulders drop.
Resistance goes to the floor. And conversely, and more commonly, we'll set the next logical step, whatever that is for you, but I don't know what that is. So anyway, you mentioned you wanted to talk about this, and you go into it.
Yeah.
Now, if you have an iPad or your presentation from your broker, and you say, hey, sit down, I need to present this to you, it's not the same thing. And you can skip pages. It gets you messed up. So you want to be unconsciously competent about gathering their agenda, making sure they understand yours, and then presenting only what they want to hear about. If you can do this, you will convert. That's a big thing, lead conversion and this sort of thing. But that's sales 101. Everybody, no one likes to talk about that because it's hard, it's weird, you have to role play, you have to fail, you have to debrief with yourself, you have to get around believable people.
It's a lot easier to just go through a deck like, hey, this is our staging, this is our marketing, this is who we are, we're the number one team.
You go through whatever you know, whatever it is. And there's a lot of good agents, 20 years experience, who they're just going to do it their way. You can't teach them.
Yeah.
But do they have 20 years experience, or do they have 1 year of experience 20 times?
That's a good one.
And it's a lot.
That's a lot of agents.
Because you always want to grow. Next year, you're going to be way better at a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
So you're always got to be on that path.
Yep.
And the big thing is, and before we get off sales, because I want to talk more about marketing, so that's your expertise, is you have to understand, people have an expectation of what's going to happen. You're going to either be part of your plan
Or part of theirs.
or part of their plan. Now, whose plan do you think's better? A buyer who doesn't know anything, but their Uncle John used to be a contractor, and their mom's cousin's an agent. They know. Are you going to be part of that plan, or are you going to be part of your own plan? And that's called Wimp Junction. You're part of one.
Wimp Junction. I like
Which
that.
road are you going to take? No, I don't want to be seen as a strategic advisor, expert, and show my value. I'm just going to go with their plan. Their plan doesn't lead you to the bank, doesn't actually get them what they want. So you got to commit. You got to own it. That's sales. People like to skip that, and they just want to talk about more. Omar, you're so good on Instagram. Tell me more about TikTok. All they want to do is talk about marketing, but they're weak on sales, which means even if the marketing works, and it does, especially this type of stuff, you'll mess it up.
Yeah.
It's the analogy is like this. If you had a restaurant, and you said, hey, I know our product is our service.
Yeah.
Our product is our ability to get the outcome.
Yeah.
But you're not good at it, the sales stuff.
Yeah.
You say, hey, I'm opening this restaurant. Our service is bad. My waiters don't know the menu. The food's not that good. Forget all that. We need to get more people in here. I want to make sure everyone knows how bad we suck. That's what agents do.
Yep.
They say, no, I don't know anything about the contract, about the equity.
We just need leads.
It's wrong. But if you can just marry those two things, the sales and the marketing, you know what they call you?
Yeah.
Top producer.
Ooh.
You're a top producer
Ooh.
now. And then that comes with every level's got a different level. There's,
Yeah.
then you get into the operations and these things that we come across. But the marketing side, so you got 38,000 or whatever on Instagram?
Yeah, roughly about that.
What's your engagement like?
I would say it's different across different platforms. I think my main platform is TikTok. I love TikTok. I think TikTok's what started it all. I have 160,000 on TikTok, about 35 on Instagram, and then we just hit 1,200 subscribers on YouTube, which for YouTube I'm pretty happy with.
That's big. So 200,000 people for free see the stuff that you want to talk about.
Correct. Cost me maybe my editing efforts now, but before it cost me just my time.
So that's a huge audience. How often are you posting?
So the goal, right, is to post as consistent as you can, right? Instead of saying, hey, you guys need to be posting 5 times a day or 6 times a day, post as consistent as you can be. So if that's 3 a week, every week, do that. I don't want you to start posting 2 a day and then fall off, right? But for me right now, my goal is to do 2 a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, and be consistent with that. Because the more you can post, the more consistent you can be, and the better the quality of your content, you're going to win. It's a numbers game. Like, you will win.
So you want 2 video posts a day?
2 video posts a day, 2 reels a day. Carousel posts are cool, and I'll still do them here and there, but nothing's going to get you more engagement than reels and TikToks, because these are going out to people that not just follow you, but explore feed, like people who have never seen your stuff ever before. And that's really who you want. Yeah, I still want the people that follow me, like me, know me, and trust me to see my content, but I still want people that have never met before to see my content, like, oh, who's that guy? Follow, build rapport, nurture, bam, close. And like you said, like, if you're not tracking things too, it doesn't really, like, people think we're just doing content just to do content. There's a lot of people that do that. Like, there are a lot of people, he does real content to make money, but there's a lot of people that make content to, like, there's a lot of, like, social media realtors, and they're just social media. Like, you look at their transactions.
Let me go rent this car. Film me getting out of this car with my for
the white BMW, whatever it is. And it's like, you look them up on Zillow, and it's like 1 transaction past 24 months. You're like, oh, I thought he was a top producer. But there's people that actually do content, make money out of it, generate business. And the way you do that is by tracking it, right? So for me, for example, like, I respond back to, I would say, like, 70% of my DMs through a CRM. I don't even go on Instagram and respond back. So there's
how many DMs are you getting? A lot.
A lot. I don't even know, like, how many, like, it's just like.
All right, he hasn't responded to like 50, so that was a lie.
No,
that might have just came in.
Yeah, but we just
what are these people
Adobe
saying?
just hit me up.
Yeah. So here's the part of the story that Omar skipped over, because it's so cool. Like, your book, the movie about you. Because I just wanted you to end up taking over DC. Like, I know him, I'm friends with him, and we can hang out and have fun and whatever.
I hope so.
He was an intern at a social media agency. Shout out to Zest.
Tim was my very first mentor. Shout out Zest.
Yeah, what's his last name again?
Bojanowski.
Tim Bojanowski. Tim, we golfed one time at BCC. I don't know if you remember. So you have a plethora of knowledge, and social media is one of these things. There's just like real estate agents, a lot of fakers, a lot of people running agencies, a lot of people who'll take your money and
get no results.
Tell us a little bit about that business, because I know I think your main focus now, I guess you got 2 jobs.
Yeah.
You run a social media agency for a lot of top producers. A lot of my friends are like, oh, Omar, he does my stuff.
Yep.
So you got that going.
Yeah. So the way that started was, like I said, I was doing content for, Sammer, my mentor, my boss. I was doing it for myself. And then I actually had a team try to recruit me. He's still a client to this day, but this guy was trying to recruit me, kept hitting me up. And I was like, sure, you know what? I'll grab lunch with this guy. He seemed like a decent guy. Got lunch. At the end of it, he's like, yeah, man, I need you to join my team. Like, I love your stuff. And I was like, look, man, I'm super happy where I am. I appreciate the offer, yada, yada. And long story short is, okay, what does it take for you to do my marketing? And I honestly just wanted this guy to leave me alone. I was just like, I just thought of the craziest number that came out. It was like $3,000 a month. And he was like, done, let's do it. I was like, shit. I was like, okay, I'll send you all the onboarding documents. We'll go from there. go home, create a fake email, Omar@socialmedia.com, didn't have a real name. Started it up, paid me $3,000 a month. We grew his TikTok's like 50,000 followers, Instagram. Now he's crushing it. He's still a client to this day.
How many clients do you have like that?
I would say, and this is just me being real, like the guys that absolutely crushed it were my very first few clients, the ones where I was super hands-on with.
Right.
And I was managing their accounts, I was doing everything, and they just did what I told them, like, this is what you need to do. The clients now, I mean, which again will service anybody, but the clients are like, hey, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to film. Cool. I'll give you the strategy, I'll tell you what to do. But a lot of people are like,
well, they don't do it.
They don't do it, right? So
yeah,
these guys, I really forced them. So I would say I probably have like a dozen of those guys that like really did what I said and actually took off and are still doing it to this day. And then we have clients that still do well, but I wouldn't say they're
we got like 50 plus clients. I saw your thing. It's like you got a lot of people. That is the American dream right there. OmarSocials.com. Take the money.
Yeah, I know, right?
And give the result.
Yeah. So we gave them the results, and I've never done marketing. I've never cold called somebody to get business. I've never done flyers, ads. Like, it was all referrals. Like, it's a whole social media business, which, I mean, you know the numbers, but we went from 0 to what we are now from just strictly referrals. Like, hey, Omar did my content, it crushed, you need to hire him. And the word of mouth.
Well, you know what Warren Buffett says about that. I got Warren Buffett. Here's him on a cherry Coke can. Price is what you pay. Yeah. Value is what you get.
There we go.
So those guys were so happy to pay you $3K. Yeah. Knowing what you know now, I bet that guy, you go his TikTok to 50K, he's crushing it. He's giving you $3,000 a month, 36K a year.
He's making way more from that.
Yeah, he would have paid you $10,000 a month.
100%.
You know what I mean?
If I was to go back, which obviously that's probably every person, every business owner, it's like I would have easily charged $10K a month.
So what's your goals now? So you're going to maybe do 20 is this year, but like where's Omar going? Call your shot.
Yeah.
What can we expect from this kid from Ethiopia?
Yeah. I think the goal for me now is just building like a team, right? And we were talking about this, and I was getting a lot of advice from you. Obviously, you've done it. You've sold hundreds of millions with real estate. So I'm at the point now where I love my media agency. It comes easy to me. I'm passionate about it. I want to grow that, scale that. You know, right now, roughly, we're doing about $800,000 a year. I want to scale that to about $2 million. That's like the goal. I'm going to hopefully bring on a strategic partner to help me do that. And then that's like the media side. For real estate wise, I 2 months ago started the Capital Corner Group officially. Got everything, branding, yada yada.
Is that a brokerage?
Team.
Okay, so you joined a team.
No, I started a team. It's
okay,
called,
okay. Capital Corner Group. Capital Corner Group. Yep. Write that down.
Capital Corner Group.
Capital Corner Group, and that's with Keller.
Keller Williams. Yep.
Great company.
And the goal, and right now it's me or my partner and 2 agents, but the goal is to keep it lean and mean, which we kind of talked about. I'm thinking maybe like maximum 10, 15 agents and just absolutely crush. Like my goal for next year at least is to do about anywhere from 50 to 60 million. With a small crew, I think that's doable. And
you could do that yourself.
Yeah, you're right. And I really want to be focused on just having a right system for everything, like right back end, because we talked about it, a lot of people don't have an actual system, operations, management.
Yeah, that's a huge, I wish I would have known. You have your marketing thing. Like I'm blessed to have Brandon, who's awesome.
Yeah.
And you know how important that is, the
100%.
ability to capture the content, edit the content.
That's where half our business comes from. Yeah.
And then you have the transaction piece, contract to close, that system's dialed in. And even people who have those people, they haven't systemized it properly and have it on autopilot. And then you have to have the growth piece, which is what are we going to install into our business that we believe is going to drive revenue in a systematic fashion that sales. Because there's no point in doing anything in your business that you're not going to do long term.
No. It's like, why start now if you're going to stop in 3 months? And that's like, that's my thing is like, okay, like, and for me too, like I would have, well, this can go out whenever it goes out, but I would have continued just scaling my media agents. But I was like, I don't see myself doing this for another 5 years. I see myself selling real estate for another 5 years and growing a really good team. And just, I want people, when they think Omar, they think of real estate. When they think real estate, they think Omar. Like that's my goal. And I think that's what every agent's goal should be. And I think that's the point of building a brand, having a social media following is anytime someone thinks about real estate, they're like, oh, that guy Andrew, he's always on my For You page. He's a real estate guy to go to. Like the amount of referrals I get off of people, like they've never talked to me, but they feel like they know me because they've watched my content, they've seen it, the growth. And it's like, it's also, which content piece, anyone watching here, it's like, anytime you're making content, think about what's in it for the viewer. What's in it for Andrew, what's in it for Jacob, Alexi, whoever it is. besides you. Because like if you're thinking, oh, like this is a cool video, I look dope in this, like no one cares. But like, okay, I'm gonna give some sort of value, or your content has to be either entertaining or educational, one of the two.
Right.
If it's not that, you might as well not post it.
It's awesome. It's just good advice. And you're one of these people who doesn't need to hear it because you've already done so much. But I'd challenge you for what you have going on. And these are good goals.
Yeah.
Those are audacious goals. 60 million, that's more than what most teams are ever going to get to.
Yeah.
But someone told me this once, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, which is you need to start having unrealistic expectations about how good your life can be.
I like that.
Because there is no reason you couldn't do 100 million.
I like that.
Then 200 million. And that's like, I hit that at one point in 2022. Now it's, we regressed a little bit, Mark. Yeah, there's no excuses. Yeah. But we want to get back, I want to get to 300 million.
Yep.
But only because I've been doing it for so long. If you would have told me when I was 22, you're going to do 100 million one year.
You'd be like, absolutely.
And I've had help and I've had partners in this thing. I'm like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then my main goal is to get to 1,000 transactions a year.
I love that.
And like, I just want to do it, not necessarily, it's kind of beyond the monetary game.
Yeah.
It's just to say you did it.
Yeah.
Because I think in Maryland, there's only like 3 people who've ever done it. It was Lucido, Northrop, Pat Hyben, I think, did it. And then it's just like, that would be cool to say.
Yeah. I've sold 1,000 homes in 1 year.
Exactly. And when you were talking about getting referrals from the social media, from the content, have you ever heard someone say it's not what you know, it's
who you know?
Right.
Always.
That's wrong.
Let's hear it.
That is the saying.
Okay.
It's not what you know, it's who you know. In this day and age, it's who knows you. So it's not what you know, it's who you know. Yeah, you've heard that. No, it's who knows you. And there's no better way to get people to know you than to pull out this thing. This is called a smartphone. Now, the opposite would be a dumb phone. So you all have one of these things. You don't use it. You got $1,000 a month, a year wrapped up into this thing. You don't even use this thing. You take it out, and you can get people to know you, like you said.
100%.
And that's the game we're in.
And there's no better way to do. You can't make as many cold calls. You can't do as many open houses. You can't do as many events. Like, you make one video, you have the potential to reach hundreds of thousands of people. Even if it's not 100,000 people. Like, people, oh, Omar, I only got 1,000 views on my video. That's 1,000 people that watched your video.
Dude, we were talking about that this morning. We did these reels. Brandon did a great job with these culture. You liked it, and people saw it. They're like, you know him? And I showed the guys, because, we have the team. We want the team involved. We're doing fun things, trying to just let people know, here's who we are. Here's what we do. We still have fun. We're normal people. 8 hours of watch time. 3,800 views, 8 hours of watch time. We posted that at 4 p.m., Brandon, right?
24 hours ago, I remember.
Less than 20. Yeah. Okay, so 8 hours of 3,826 people. Now, maybe some people watched it twice, but over 3,000 people watched that. You know what that would look like if you were speaking to 3,000 people in a room? It's unbelievable. In the stories, because it's easy for me.
Stories are a game plan. I love your. I now tune in for your stories, because every morning I know you're gonna put. Like, I swear to God, let's start last week. I'm like, I want to watch your stories.
The stories are good. I got to get some of these good thoughts out. It's just my way of it's almost like me tweeting.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm thinking about. But I'm gonna get, as we talked before, I got to get more dialed in on the reels and some of this stuff. But even on the stories, they get like 400 people watch it. Yep. You don't have to be an influencer to have influence. No. 400 people in a room.
That's a lot of people.
That's a bigger room than most people have spoken. They watch your stuff. So
and they like it, and they engage. And I tell everyone this, like, you don't want it. Like, every agent wants to be Ryan Serhant, right? But I tell them, you don't really want to be Ryan Serhant. You want to be the local celebrity. Like, you don't have to be Ryan Serhant, multinational, Netflix. Like, if you are just Andrew, Omar, DC guy, Baltimore guy, I can't even handle all DC business, right? Like, I can't. I can barely handle one zip code.
Right.
Right. So it's like, people think they need to be like this huge influencer conglomerate. Like, no, like, make content, be a local celebrity, do your business spotlights, do your educational videos, talk about programs in your area. Here's a Baltimore blah, 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 blah we have. Here's this, here's that. That's genuinely what you should be striving for.
That's the game, ladies and gentlemen. And we could talk for hours and hours about this, but there's 2 asks. Anyone who sees this, if you're into real estate, Omar's got a school community. If you don't know what that is, SKOOL, Google it. For $37 a month, which is nothing, he'll give you everything, and he checks in. I'm going to sign up just because for $37 a month, he might give me a nugget that I can tweak to help my content get better. 100%. And I know you have hundreds of people in that community. I think it's brilliant, and I think You're doing it because you want to help people,
100%,
which is powerful. And I'm going to close with this, and then before I kick it over to you for a closing thought. If you're not willing to make content, because some people just aren't, and you don't have to, and you can be successful, it's totally up to you.
Yeah.
Here's my new rule. If you're not willing to do it, here's the caveat. If you're not willing to do this, you don't have to. You're just never allowed to complain about not having enough business ever again. No one wants to hear it. If you're not willing to invest in you or get uncomfortable, why would anyone else invest in you? If you can't do this, how do I think you're supposed to represent me out to whoever else we're negotiating with? But you're afraid, you don't like the way your voice sounds. Yep. Whoever is more certain, whoever is more confident in any interaction influences the other person. This is how you do it. This is how you show the world, I'm for real. I take it seriously, and I'll take you seriously, and I'll seriously help you. Let me show you how I'll do it. That's our business. Because the real business you're in before you get to this stuff is called client acquisition. Can you do it?
I love that.
Can you do client acquisition? Because if you can't, DSW is hiring. I just saw the sign. It's right across the street.
Yep.
Go work somewhere else, because this job is about client acquisition. So that's my sign off. Omar,
I
closing
absolutely
thoughts?
love it. And my closing thoughts is just going to add on to that, to where it's like the amount of people that genuinely now look at your, like, I tell everyone this, your Instagram is now your resume. Like, there's no resumes anymore. You're not applying. Like, your online presence is your resume. That's who you are without ever having to show your face, say anything. Like, people are looking you up and they're judging you. I don't like Omar. I like Omar. Like, based off of strictly what your online presence look like. So your Instagram, your Facebook, your TikTok, your YouTube, your Google My Business page, has to be on point. If you're in the sales industry, especially in real estate sales, like, that's a must-have in my opinion. And if you don't do that, like you said, like, just don't complain.
Yeah, and if you don't know how to do it, $37 a month will teach you.
Yeah.
Omar, dude, thanks for coming up.
This was amazing.
You're the first of many, dude.
I appreciate it, and I can't wait to see what we do, because just know we're gonna cook some shit up.
Time to cook. Gotta go.